Peace, 'cause we don't send innocent youth in harm's way.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Τα προγράμματά μας προσφέρονται σε πολλές γλώσσες. Παρακαλούμε δείτε suprememastertv.com/schedule.
If it's a dehydration-related muscle cramp, we typically see that come at the end of prolonged intense activity and can also start as small spasms on both sides of the body.
Continue watching to find out more.
Brave viewers, I am Miroslav. The people of Slovakia would like to say Dobrý deň to visitors, meaning good day in Slovak, the nation's official language. The affable Slovaks wish you always bathe in God's caring love and radiant light. Welcome to our show titled Professor Timaree Hagenburger, Vegan, Peaking with Plant-Based Sports Nutrition, Part 2 of 3. Professor Timaree Hagenburger is an American registered dietitian nutritionist with a master's degree in public health, a nutrition professor at Cosumnes River College in Sacramento, California, as well as a certified exercise physiologist through the American College of Sports Medicine. Besides giving talks on nutrition to help people achieve optimal health, she also teaches cooking. Professor Hagenburger published the cookbook, The Foodie Bar Way, to inspire people to prepare simple, delicious and nutritious vegan meals through marvelous methods. In the last episode, Professor Hagenburger shared with us the benefits of adopting a plant-based diet for athletes, such as a lower risk of cardiovascular complications, reduced bodily inflammation, and better recovery times. Today, we will continue to learn more about plant-based nutrition. Just like a tailored suit, the diet can also be customized depending on the type of sport and the different physical conditions of athletes. This includes varying caloric intake requirements.
So calories are going to depend on many factors. There isn't just one set of calories for everybody. So your height and weight and age and gender and whether you're pregnant or breastfeeding, as well as your training goals and if you're still growing. Everybody can figure out how many calories they need based on equations. One of them that's very common is called Harris-Benedict, and you can find those online. If your goal is to gain mass, then you'll want to exceed your calorie needs. But if your goal is, for some athletes, to get leaner, to lose body fat, then they don't want to exceed their calorie needs. Now, it's very common, and research has shown us that a lot of athletes, especially endurance athletes and cyclists, they're at risk for not getting enough calories. And so for them, switching to a plant-based diet can be a little challenging at first because the food is low in calories, typically per bite. So we say they're calorie dilute. And so for them, it's going to be important to eat maybe quantity-wise more than they used to eat. But for protein, it's also important the calorie and the protein are linked. Because with protein, if you don't have enough calories, you'll use those protein foods for energy instead of muscle repair and other specific functions for proteins that only they can do. So with protein intake, a lot of people feel like they need a lot of protein. And our country especially, and I think the whole world is following now, that we think protein is the most important and that it's been very commercialized. So there's a lot of money in protein. But in fact, athletes can get all of the protein and all of the essential amino acids that they need by eating whole foods. So lentils and split peas and beans of all types, whole grains, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and they can easily meet their needs with that variety.
What about fueling and hydrating ourselves just before a competition? Here is Professor Hagenburger's advice.
It's going to depend on the duration of the event, the intensity, the weather. But before the event, we want something that's very easy to digest. And if it's going to be a sustained event in the afternoon, then you can do a high carbohydrate, even 3 to 4 grams of carbohydrate per kilogram body weight, 3 to 4 hours before. And that can actually help with the glycogen stores in our liver and our muscles. If it's more like maybe 1/2 an hour to 2 hours before the event, then it can actually be fuel to supplement those glycogen stores during the activity. And that could be something along the lines of fruit, bananas, maybe even oats, if you have a little bit of time, at least 1 hour before. If it is several hours before, then potatoes and lentils, all kinds of different, you could do a wrap or a bowl, lots and lots of choices. Now with fluid, it's going to be somewhere between 5 to 10 milliliters of liquid per kilogram, 2 to 4 hours before an event. So for someone, let's say, who weighed about 130 pounds, maybe 60 kilos, then somewhere between 10 to 20 fluid ounces, 2 to 4 hours before, where they could void all of that with the urine and stay hydrated. So that would be ideal thinking in general. During the event, it's going to be important to meet your energy needs if it's long-term, or at least electrolyte needs. So some athletes will use drinks that will have somewhere between 6 to 8% calories from carbohydrate, and they may have the electrolytes in there. It's very important that you don't try something new during the event or the night before. We need to practice weeks before instead of trying some new food as it could not agree with someone.
Unfortunately, muscle cramps can occur during a competition. Why does cramping happen?
Most of the time, the research shows that it is trying to get your muscles to do something that they're not trained for. So basically, overexertion of undertrained muscles. And it is also obviously important to make sure that you're getting enough carbohydrate, you're getting enough fluid, you're getting enough calcium and magnesium and potassium. But it's also critical to think about when those muscle cramps are happening and how long they're lasting. If it's dehydration-related muscle cramp, we typically see that come at the end of prolonged, intense activity and can also start as small spasms on both sides of the body. Whereas if it's an overexertion type muscle cramp, then it'll typically happen suddenly and in one area. So maybe on the foot or the calf and just one side, and be very, very intense. When you pay attention to when you're having the muscle cramps, then it can help to figure out the cause. Now, like I said, potassium is often something that people bring up. Make sure you eat a banana. But they actually have done research where they had gentlemen eat 3 bananas, and it took 30 to 60 minutes to just see a little bump in the blood potassium level. It's important to always consume adequate potassium, and plant-based eaters are going to get great sources of potassium. Everything from marinara sauce to baked potatoes, sweet potatoes, greens, those are all going to be fabulous.
Let's find out about the type of nutrition needed after an event to help the body recover.
because they did some muscle damage, because they burned through the carbohydrate, and because they lost fluids and electrolytes, it's going to be important for them to replenish. And so we really would like them to have some kind of food, especially high carbohydrate, like fruit, between 20 and 30 minutes after the event. And then to follow up with a balanced meal with carbohydrate and protein and fat, somewhere between 1 hour to maybe 90 minutes after the event. Carbohydrate has been shown to help with long-term recovery and long-term performance. And so it is just important to make sure that athletes are eating these wonderfully complex carbohydrate foods. So the oats and the beans and the lentils and the potatoes and the fruit is just key for them to be able to perform race after race and recover in between.
Drinking plenty of fluids is just as important as eating a carbohydrate-rich meal. Weighing oneself before and after a competition can give an idea of the extent of fluid loss.
If they lose 1 pound, then we multiply that by 2 to 3 cups. So it's 2 to 3 cups to replenish what they lost. That's going to be important because if you lose too much fluid during the event, and we like to say less than 2% is okay, but more than 2%, it can actually affect the decisions you make and the cognitive ability that you have, even the sport-specific technical skills that are very important for some events. It can make it hard for your blood to flow and for your body to cool off, as well as the recovery.
We appreciate Professor Hagenburger sharing with us her in-depth knowledge on nutrition for sports. Please join us again on Saturday, August 14th for Professor Timaree Hagenburger, Vegan, Peaking with Plant-Based Sports Nutrition, Part 3 of 3, where she will cover topics such as bone health. For more information about Professor Timaree Hagenburger and her book, The Foodie Bar Way, please visit foodiebars.com and thenutritionprofessor.com. Thank you, faithful viewers, for your company today for our program. Up next is Governments Should Uphold Morals and Dignity, Part 2 of 3 on Between Master and Disciples, right after noteworthy news. May we always embrace God's blessings and share with others to make a better world. Peace, 'cause mighty youth are to build the nation, not to be killed.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/HL.